Hey everyone, it's Xingqiu here. So before you ask, no, I am not returning to making content on YouTube full time. This video and the next video are just two little fun videos I've been working on. Now before we get to the actual run, I am going to provide a little bit of context to the run. However, if you just want to see the run, use the timestamp above. So for those of you who don't know, before we started this channel, I had kind of an obsession with doing Dark Souls challenge runs. Soul level 1 runs, bow only runs, that kind of thing. Well, recently I saw this run from Conquer30 that inspired me to do the same thing in the Abyss and Genshin. In this video, Conquer30 does clear the entire Abyss using only 2 units each side, a Diluc and Xingqiu and a Xiao and Bennett. And very impressively, according to the title of the video, Conquer30 is using a free-to-play account for this. By the way, you should definitely go check out Conquer30's channel as well as this run, link in the description. They do a lot of really cool challenge runs in the Abyss. Now you may be wondering why I have free-to-play question mark in the title for this video. After all, I'm clearly not a free-to-play player. Prior to quitting YouTube full-time, it was my full-time job to pull for new characters and test them, which costs a lot of primogens. However, I have tried to keep the run I did to as close as the parameters in the free-to-play run that Conquer30 did. They are using a single 5-star weapon, an R1 Gravestone, and I'm using an R1 Amos Bow. Conquer30 is using an R5 Favonius Lance, I'm using an R5 Sac Bow, and the Xingqiu is actually using an R5 Sac Sword, and I'm using an R4 Sac Sword. And Bennett is using an Alley Flash R1, while mine is using a Festering Desire R5, which is a free-to-play weapon. The Diluc and the Xiao are both C0, my Ganyu is C0, the Xingqiu is C6, mine is also C6, and the Bennett is C5, and mine is also C5. The only place where I couldn't really follow the parameters is that I do have a C6 Diona on my team, while they have a second C0 5-star unit. It's kinda hard to say whether a C6 Diona is equal to like a C0 Xiao or Diluc, but either way, the only constellations that really matter for this run are the ones that increase her shield strength. I would deconstellation my Diona if I could, but shrug. And now you may be thinking, well, since you've spent money on this game, you probably have better artifacts than Conquer30. I was actually really curious about that, so I decided to calculate exactly how much damage gain both of our artifacts gave us between the set bonuses and the substats, and I was actually really surprised to learn that both the Xiao and the Diluc sets actually gave them more damage than my Ganyu set, which actually really surprised me because my Ganyu has a stacked full Blizzard Strayer set, but really the main reason that she doesn't beat them is because I can't freeze people with the team I have. Also, Conquer30's Xingqiu's set is about 7.6% better than mine and has 10 levels over mine. In fact, the only set that I have is better is that my Bennett set is about 8.5% better than the Diluc set, specifically when I'm vaporizing inside of Bennett's ult. Overall, I think it's fair to say that we have basically the same artifact quality. But ultimately, I am not a free-to-play player, so I did try my best to stay within the parameters of this free-to-play run, but shrug. And if you do want to see my specific artifact sets, that's at the very end of the video, timestamp on screen if you want to skip to it. One final very important note is that this run, as well as Conquer30's run, happened during the last cycle of the Blessing of the Abyssal Moon, so we had this one. This is a really important factor because both Conquer30 and I's teams could not maintain more than 2 stacks at a time of this. So we both basically got 14% attack most of the time, and that was basically it. This is really important because the new Abyssal buff that we got today is actually really broken and overpowered. How broken and overpowered, you might ask? Well, in Conquer30's new run that they posted today, their Diluc is dealing 8,000 damage per shockwave. That is potentially 8,000 extra AoE DPS. The health drain does make it a little bit more challenging to survive, but it's still a ridiculous amount of additional DPS. This is so much extra DPS that in Conquer30's new run with the R4 Luxurious Sea Lord, they're beating their Wolf Gravestone team times by like 10 to 20 seconds per chamber. Anyway, that's it for the context. Let's get into the actual run itself where I'll provide a little bit of commentary. So this first chamber does have a lot of groups in it, which means that consolidating your AoE to hit as many people as possible is very important. The reason why I'm waiting here is to make sure my Diona Sac Bow has reset since my last retry. So first off, I'm going to position behind the Nobushi, funnel 2 Diona E's into my Ganyu, and then cast her ult in a nice position in the back line. By then positioning myself a bit further back, I can get all of the potion tosses to be dragged into my ult. I then just shoot things for a bit. I actually fat-fingered Diona's Q here, it just wasted me like 2 seconds, but shrug. I also missed this shot. I'm about an hour deep into resets at this point, so obviously I'm feeling a little twitchy. Now, this next ult is positioned to hit all of the potion tosses, and I'm trying to spread out my charge shots to try to spread out the damage and kill them all around the same time. I do mess up though because both of these potion tosses are outside of my ult's range due to the knockback of my charge shots. And next wave is up, so funnel some energy into my Ganyu to get her ult up. I'm gonna EQ here so that I can get a little further back because there's two Nobushi behind me that I want the ult to be closer to. I'm then intentionally face tanking and playing at close range so I can group up as many of them as possible and get that juicy quadratic damage scaling on Ganyu's ult. End up spending about 1 minute and 3 seconds on this half, not bad, but my fastest was a 47-second run. However, this second half is the more challenging one. So bursting down this Eye of the Storm is very important because it only does 2 different attacks before it goes into its fly in the sky and you have to glide up to it mode, which wastes a lot of time. Now, you're going to notice that I do switch to my Xingqiu here because it applies the Bennett buff to his next 2 waves of swords, which does increase my DPS a bit. This is a trick you're going to see me do a lot during this run because it is the best way to maximize DPS on this team. I actually screw up here because I should be focusing the Spectre behind me because he's actually in the circle. Also, if you're wondering why I'm using Bennett Xingqiu instead of Hu Tao Xingqiu or Diluc Xingqiu, since I do have C0s of both, well, Hu Tao has downtime issues in a 2-man team like this, and Bennett C5 does more damage than the C0, Diluc is a carry, which is why I haven't used Diluc in like months. I'm funneling the energy from this Bennett's E into Xingqiu to get him 1 E away from getting his ult up, and I was saving my ult against the last Spectre because the positioning of this ult is really important. Because I know from having done this run for like an hour that the big boy spawns right there. Now, you might notice that every time I switch to Xingqiu to empower his next 2 waves, I always do 2 normal attacks before Bennett E-ing. This is not just to trigger Xingqiu's swords, it's because if Bennett does not have his attack buff from his ult tick on him and reapply, then he doesn't get a 2-second E, he gets a 4-second E. This means if you swap to Bennett and E too quickly, then you might get a 4-second E instead of a 2-second one, which is why I always wait a bit after swapping before using a Bennett E. And here I just barely managed to catch the Bennett buff for Xingqiu's next 2 sword waves. Alright, now you're gonna watch me royally screw up because I end up not having much energy at the end of the stage. This is going to make Chamber 2 a lot harder. Again, elemental burst damage card here, not bad. And I'm just waiting for my sac bow to reset. So on Ganyu, I'm pre-firing an arrow here to get my A1 passive up and having a shot ready so as soon as he can take damage, I deal damage, funnel energy, pop a Ganyu ult. And you'll notice that if I'm too far away from him, both my shots as well as my icicles from my ult end up getting parried, so I have to stay in this kind of mid-range range even though I should be further away to maximize my Amos passive. I actually screw up here and waste an entire wave of Diona E particles because I don't pop my ult fast enough. You'll see this mismanagement of energy economy screw me over later on. I actually really enjoy the Conquer30 fight because his attacks all have these long, wide wind-ups and then very quick execution, so you get rewarded for learning how to iframe them, and it's not too difficult once you get used to it. And now I don't have an ult up because I screwed up my economy. Now notice how the Conquer30 does dash back into the wall here. That's because I've positioned myself with him between me and the wall, so he'll always dash back into it. This helps limit his mobility.
Born of ice and frost, blaze over.
A neat trick with this specific attack is that his clone's attack is actually on an outer radius, so if you don't dash back, you can dodge it just by standing near him. So weirdly on this next attack, I apparently iframe it well enough not to get staggered, but I still take damage, which I guess might be a latency thing? It's K though, Diona can heal me up. So the next attack is an ice-based attack, so I don't try to dodge it because I know my shield can eat it, except my shield runs out half a second before it hits me. RIP, still get the clear though. and 1 minute 54 seconds. Not bad for a first half, but my fastest was a 1 minute 37. So remember how my Bennett and Xingqiu didn't have a lot of energy? Well, that makes this half a bit more complicated. It took me like 5 or 6 retries just to figure out this specific stagger lock to keep the system mage from shielding up while I got my ults up. When she starts her fly summoning animation, like right here, she is going to be invulnerable to staggers. And bursting down the system mage first is the priority because if she shields up, she'll waste a lot of your time. And of course she teleports right outside of my ult radius. I tried to dash back in to give Bennett the buff, but I'm a little too fast about it, so I have a 4-second E here. And I'm really bad at dodging cages. I think the sound effect's just too quiet or something. Once again, I am funneling Bennett E's into Xingqiu because I am a little short on getting his ult due to starting with such low energy this half. And we have 2 seconds left. Definitely not the cleanest clear, but a clear's a clear. Alright, so this is the final chamber. This is actually the easiest one, in my opinion, out of the 3, because the first one requires you to group well, the second one requires you to dodge Magu Kenki well, this one, all the enemies are really easy to dodge, and it's kind of just a DPS check. I'm gonna try to shoot these guys in the eyes and disable them next to each other to maximize the quadratic damage scaling on my ult. Not sure how this shot misses his eye, but shrug. At this point, I'm spreading my shots out between the 2 of them because my primary target gets hit with extra damage compared to just the pure splash damage. At this point, I don't switch back to Diona the funnel because I assume I'm going to kill them faster just by spamming out charge shots. I'm not sure if I was right or not, but shrug. And 40 seconds first half, not bad. You see those sexy orbs in the corner that I'm going to run towards as soon as this starts because Bennett needs energy really bad? I actually screw up a bit here. I should have funneled that first E into Bennett to get his ult up faster, but shrug, he's only 1 E away anyway. So when he rockets up like this, I should actually be attacking because Xingqiu swords can for some reason track him while he's flying in the sky, which is something I figured out literally at the end of this run. This is actually the first attempt I have against this guy in this specific run. I'd never retried. And just using the swap tech to maximize my damage. Now, I get a little unlucky here because it spawns one of the shooty boys, and the shooty boys are kind of a direct counter to Bennett because they dash away, so he's going to leave my Bennett circle. But I still need to use my Bennett circle early and not save it for later because I need to have the next one up to fight the actual mechanical array once he's vulnerable. And oh boy, do I love how low his resistances get when he's vulnerable because these are some big numbers. At this point, I'm just, using swap tech, trying to empower Xingqiu swords to do more damage, using Bennett's E whenever I can, just doing damage.
Rain outlines your teamwork is dreamwork. Let's light it up.
So yeah, anytime he rockets up like this, you can fit about 3 sword waves from Xingqiu on him before having the iframe to slam, but like I said, I didn't really know that was a thing. I just don't have a lot of experience fighting this guy. And we have a comfy 2 minutes 41 seconds for Chamber 3 of Floor 12. So this was a really fun challenge to do, and like I said, I'm not a free-to-play player, even though I did my best to keep within the same parameters of the free-to-play run that inspired this run. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is only the first video of the 2 challenge runs I'm posting. The next one is a lot more impressive. Alright, that's about all I got for this one. I'm just gonna go ahead and play out the stats, weapons, artifacts, and constellations and talent levels of all my teams. Now, this is my first time really doing like a commentary of a run kind of thing. I hope that it was informational, you learned something useful about how to clear Chamber 12, or at least got some insight into my decision making and thought processes. Now, I know not everyone likes to watch this kind of a run with commentary laid over it, so if that's you, then go ahead and let me know in a comment below, and if there's enough support support for it, I'll just post the run without any commentary. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends if you think they'd find it interesting, subscribe, leave a comment below, all that kind of stuff helps out the SEO and stuff. You know the deal, every YouTuber and their mother asks you to do those kinds of things, but either way, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.
Insolent.